What is happening, guys? Members only, MLB, Monday, August 9th. We got a short slate tonight, 5-gamer. Might turn into 4 games with the weather. Pretty bad in Chicago. So I'm just going to do one video, members only, for the public today. Let me screen share this, and I will dive right in. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Excited for the new week to start. We got NFL starting soon. And I love me some MLB. So good times all around. Alrighty, so like I said, small slate tonight, only 5 games. Big weather concerns in the Cubs-Brewers game, so we'll touch on that, when we get there. But just know that there's a high probability that game doesn't even play, which would take 20% of the games off the slate. So it's definitely worth monitoring. So as far as pitching options go, Freddie Peralta, top guy in the slate. I mean, averaging by far the most fantasy points per game, the only guy over 20. He's the best pitcher on the slate in a really good spot against a weak Cubs lineup. However, there's big weather concerns, so don't want to talk too much on Peralta because he might not even be in play. Moving ahead, Luis Castillo. I like Castillo quite a bit here. He's been good since he struggled at the beginning of the year. Been real solid over the past couple months, coming off 2 solid starts. Has picked up his strikeout upside over the recent months. There's just a lot to like about Castillo here. I'm a Castillo fan. I've always been a fan of his stuff. Again, kind of an enigma as far as DFS pitchers go because he lets people down more often than we would like, but his upside is certainly real. Against a weakened Cleveland lineup, I like Castillo quite a bit. A lot of this slate, and as any small MLB slate is going to depend on ownership. I'm not seeing ownership out of many places yet, so kind of just have to take our best guess. With Peralta potentially being out of play, I imagine Castillo, picks up a good amount of that ownership. Moving ahead, Lucas Giolito coming off a real rough outing against Kansas City. I'm not the biggest Giolito fan, but I do like him in a bounce-back start here. Twins aren't the worst lineup in the world, but after trading, Nelson Cruz, they're far from world beaters. They haven't had a great year to begin with. That said, I don't think it's like the perfect spot for Giolito. I do like the spot for Peralta better. I do like the spot for Castillo better, and I like the spot for Mosgrove better. So not the greatest spot for Giolito, but it's far from a bad spot. So at 9,300, he's definitely in play. And again, if Peralta is out of play, I imagine Giolito picks up quite a bit of that ownership. Moving ahead, Joe Mosgrove. I will say, though, before I even talk about Mosgrove, the nice thing about this slate is that there's quite a few pitching options. Like, if Peralta's in play, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that I think will get love, which means that maybe none of them are like uber chalk. All 5 of these guys will get quite a bit of love, though. So as far as Mosgrove goes, he's been much more solid than spectacular, but man, what a good spot for him at home against Miami. He was really, really good in his last home start against Colorado. Now in basically the same matchup against a weak Marlins team. Obviously they dealt Starling Marte. Jazz Chisholm probably won't be in the lineup. They dealt Adam Duvall. He's going to be chalky, but man, I like Mosgrove a lot here. I'm interested in potentially using a chalky Mosgrove and just getting different on my bats. I like Mosgrove quite a bit here. And I am not the biggest Mosgrove fan, but the spot is just real. Next up, we got Jameson Taillon, who's in a nice little stretch right now. After he was priced up at 10-2, now he's all the way back down at 7-8. This seems a little bit trappy. We know who Taillon is. He's not a 20-plus per game guy. He has never been that throughout his career. He can be that guy from start to start, but I am a little bit worried about the come back down to earth start here for Taillon. It's a good spot. Kansas City is not good. Aside from the top of their lineup, they're really, really weak. I could definitely see Taillon pitching, well again here and maybe not so well his next time out, depending on the matchup. It doesn't mean he's definitely not going to pitch well tonight, but I am a little bit worried that he's going to come back down to earth soon. And on a small slate like this, I think I'm interested in the other guys. That said, they're all going to get ownership. Taillon, Castillo, Giolito, Mosgrove, Peralta if he's in play. So if you like Taillon, I get it. At this price point, he does make a lot of sense. And a really good pitcher's park as well. Moving ahead, Zach Thompson. He's come back down to earth a little bit. I'm not really interested in him here. I will say his ownership will probably be a lot lower than the other guys. So that alone, puts him in play in tournaments. Sam Henches, This is a definite no. He's not very good. The Reds look like one of the top offenses on the slate. Alec Mills, no. If this game plays, the Brewers look like one of the better offenses on the slate. Cesar Hernandez, or not Cesar, Carlos Hernandez is interesting. The Yankees are in one of the better spots on the slate, no doubt. They've got a really potent offense. Carlos Hernandez is, not a great pitcher, but he's been pretty good. Was coming off 2 really good starts against the White Sox. He had been pitching in relief for most of the year. Now they've kind of stretched him out, and he's a full starter at 6,200 on this small slate against a chalky Yankees offense, I imagine. I think he's worth looking at in tournaments. All that said, I like the Yankees. I think that Hernandez is bound to get blown up sooner rather than later, so I understand why they're getting love. Charlie Barnes, these guys are definitely not in play. The White Sox look like one of the better offenses on the slate, even coming, playing the Sunday night game and traveling. It is hard to get away from the White Sox here. The White Sox, Reds, and Yankees look like the top 3 offenses, and I think ownership will decide where we want to go. So looking ahead to some of these offenses, we're going game by game. We got Castillo versus Henches. I'm not overly interested in the Indians' bats. I will say, they got going a little bit yesterday. I imagine Castillo gets love. It's a small slate. He's not impervious to getting hit. So, J-Ram and Franmil Reyes won't get any love. And these guys are in play every slate they're on. Today is no exception. The real offense in this game is the Reds, though, against Henches and a weakened Cleveland bullpen. A couple guys stand out. First off, Castellanos against a lefty. On the road, they're going to have a DH lengthens their lineup a little bit. I imagine we get a Quino in here at 3,100. Pinch hit risk, but these guys are really cheap. And then the expensive guys are in good spots too. Jesse Winker, Joey Votto. Their ownership might be cut a little bit in lefty on lefty matchups. Mike Moustakas. I like the Reds as a stack. As I mentioned, between the Reds, the Brewers, if that game plays, the Yankees and White Sox, ownership will tell us a lot. But on paper, I think the Reds are in one of the better spots on the slate. As far as the Cubs and Brewers go, again, big rain concerns in this game. Probably just going to skip over this one and not play it. If it plays, though, I think that we're interested in the Brewers' bats and Peralta. The Yankees and the Royals. So, again, talked about Carlos Hernandez. The Yankees lineup is just so potent right now. They are missing Gary Sanchez, and they are missing Anthony Rizzo. So, 2 guys we'd like to, and potentially Gleyber Torres. Man. Yeah, there's no way Torres is playing today. There's just no way. He could be out for a while. So all of a sudden, their outfield looks awesome. Judge, Gallo, Stanton, Mayhew, Odor. They're affordable. But they're going to be running a couple guys out there we're not really interested in. Tyler Wade, probably. Brett Gardner. Higashioka's okay. It might be Rob Brantley actually in there today. I think the Yankees look a little bit better from a 30,000-foot view. And the more I look at this slate, the more I am a little bit interested in Carlos Hernandez. Again, the Yankees are very good, tons of power. Judge, Gallo, Stan, their outfield looks awesome. I imagine all these guys get love. But, it's a small slate, and I do think at first glance I prefer the Reds and the White Sox. Now, if the Yankees come in under-owned compared to those teams and Hernandez starts picking up love, give me the Yankees. So, Twins and White Sox, we've got Lucas Giolito on the hill for Chicago against the lethal combo of Charlie Barnes and Bo Burrows. Hard not to like the White Sox here. Abreu and Tim Anderson are very expensive. Abreu has been very good recently. Tim Anderson coming off a monster game last night. But outside of that, they got affordable pieces all over. Eloy's 4,400. One of my favorite players in baseball, Luis Roberts, supposed to be back tonight. That just makes me even more interested in them. I'm sure the masses will love that as well. So have to fight ownership a little bit, but I had no problem getting to the bottom of this order. They're in a really good spot here on the road in Minnesota. We'll see what their lineup looks like, but I like Chicago a lot here. A lot. As far as the Minnesota side goes, I do not mind picking on Giolito a little bit on a big slate, especially if you're using Mosgrove and Castillo and a chalky offense. Mix in a little bit of Minnesota to get different. Kepler's got real good numbers off Giolito. We know he's got big power off righties. Trevor Larnach is 2K, I believe. Listen, he hasn't been great, but double digits in 3 of 4, and he is just much better than a 2K hitter implies. So, yeah, I can definitely get on board with these guys. Forgot he was back. Doubt he gets much playing time with them anymore. All right. Last but not least, we got the Cardinals and the Padres. This is a little bit of an interesting one. So I'm not interested in the Marlins. Musgrove is fine. He can get hit a little bit. If they're getting like absolutely, if Musgrove was getting 90% and Miami was getting 1%, I'd have interest. But I imagine it's more like Musgrove gets 60%, Miami is getting 5%. Takes any interest I would have in the Marlins away from them, and I just rather go to more Musgrove. As far as the Padres go, man, Thompson has not been impressive lately, and I do think with the Yankees, the White Sox, the Reds, all in like quote unquote better spots on paper, you might see the Padres get a little bit left behind. You know, good pitchers park here. They're at home, so they're not going to get that extra at bat. But the ownership alone has me interested. I think Machado at 5,900, kind of like, you know, Jose Ramirez, except in a better spot, you know, not facing Luis Castillo. These guys just aren't going to get much love. Jake Cronenworth having a really good year now with shortstop eligibility, monster game yesterday. I like these guys maybe more as one-offs, you know, Trent Grisham, Tommy Pham, guys with power, speed, upside. Yeah, he'll be right back in there today. So, again, I could see stacking the Padres or using them as one-offs. I like the idea of getting there on ownership. They're not in as good a spot, as I mentioned, as those other top teams, but I'm sure ownership will show that, and they're just not going to be as high owned. So that alone has me interested. That is what I got for you today, guys. Short and sweet. We got a small slate. Go spend some time with your significant other, your mom and dad, your kids. Yeah, it's a fun MLB slate. It starts an hour early, so know that, 6:10 Eastern. And then there's a couple hour gap between the three middle games, and then the late game starts 4 hours after the Indians game. But should be a fun one. And if you're really hating MLB, we got NBA Summer League to play and NFL coming soon. So thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want more content, more videos, all that stuff, go check out the DFS 5-pack. We would love to have you. Have a great Monday, guys.